There's something rotten in Denmark. Venice. Secret agents lurk around every corner and canal trying to glean the identities of opponents and allies alike, while carefully guarding mysteries of their own. So put on your cloak, grab your dagger, and let's delve into the game with a name that belongs on a boy band, Inkognito! In playing Inkognito, you take the part of one of 4 secret agents lurking around Venice. 2 of the other agents are your opponents. 1 is your ally. Figuring out which is what the game is all about. After choosing your player color, you are randomly and secretly assigned an identity, a disguise, and a secret code. Your identity, aka your name, tells you which agent you are working with, and which 2 agents are working against you. Lord Fiddlebottom and Colonel Bubble, symbolized by a diamond and a circle respectively, are always allies, as are Madame Jaja and Agent X, symbolized by a triangle and an X. Otherwise, everybody hates each other. Each player controls 4 pawns on the game board. Which of your 4 pawns is actually you is determined by your disguise, tall, short, thin, or fat. All of the pawns play in the exact same way, but your secret mission is always dependent on getting either the real you or your real ally to a certain location. Your secret code, alpha, beta, gamma, or delta, serves 2 purposes. By showing another player your code, you are letting them know that you are their ally, or at least you think they are, or you just want them to think that you are their ally. Deduction games are like that. The second purpose for the code is to determine your secret mission, as your objective cannot be revealed until you know your ally's code. The game board is a map of Venice with lots of distinct locations connected by red lines for roads and/or blue lines for water routes. 16 of the spaces are color-coded as player starting locations, 8 have numbers that only matter for secret missions, and 1 space is marked with a top hat, indicating the starting location for the non-player ambassador. Once everyone knows their identity, but little else, the game starts with players taking turns in a fixed order, by activating the Phantom of Prophecy, aka a marble randomizer. You are presented with 3 colors indicating up to 3 moves you can make this turn. 3 of the colors let you move your own pawns, 1 lets you move the ambassador, and the final color doesn't let you do anything. Your objective each turn is to land 1 or more of your pawns in the same space or spaces as another player's pawn, or in the same space as the ambassador. Upon landing on another player's space, you may then ask that player for information on either their identity or their disguise. The other player must then show you 3 pieces of information, usually 2 possible identities and 1 possible disguise, or vice versa. Players can always lie about their identity and disguise, but never about their secret code. At least 1 piece of information given to you during questioning must be true. Figuring out which requires several rounds of questioning, cross-referenced with what other players have told you. After questioning all available opponents on your turn, you then get the absolute joy of sending them to almost any location on the board as you laugh menacingly at their fate. Keep them close if you want more information, send them away if you think they're onto you, but don't put them too close to their ally, or at least the player you think is their ally. But that player might be my ally. Oh, the angst! The angst! Questioning the ambassador is a little easier to handle. Upon landing on his space, you choose another player and ask about either their identity or their disguise. You are then provided with 2 pieces of information, which actually come from the player, 1 of which must be true. You then send the ambassador away with all of the associated angst. The computer keeps track of all the information each other player has given you in a handy pull-down tab. It also keeps track of all the information you have given other players, as you can never give the same player the same 3 pieces of information twice. Small spaces in the top corner of the screen provide an easy way of writing down facts you pull from each player as you learn them. Once you know, or think you know, your ally's identity, disguise, and code, a quick consultation of the secret mission window will tell you what needs to happen for you and your ally to win the game. You can also use the same window to determine what your newly revealed opponents are up to, thus giving you the opportunity to thwart their plan as much as possible. Just be sure your information is correct before completing your secret mission, because if anything was wrong, you and your ally instantly lose the game. The angst!
All right, you lubbers, all hands on deck as the captain talks about the game's implementation.
Thanks, Timmy. The developers of the Inkognito app have followed the look and layout of the board game as precisely as possible, which in turn is one of the app's biggest flaws. It is impossible to see the entire board at one time on a full-sized iPad screen. This would not be the case if you could zoom out just a little bit more, or if the layout of the board had been skewed just a little bit from faithfully depicting Venice in perfect geographic accuracy. On the opposite side of the same token, there are times when I wish I could zoom in just a little bit more, as the player pawns often get in the way of seeing all of the game spaces and connecting routes available. Then things really go haywire when, after questioning, you are assaulted with a forest of blinking and bobbing white arrows showing you where you can send your opposing pawn. Some of the spaces are very close together, and the entire app has problems deciding exactly where you are touching the screen. Either that, or my fingers need to go on a diet. There are several illegal pawn positions dictated by the rules of the game, like you can't have two of your pawns on two spaces occupied by the same opponent, or you can't end your turn with the ambassador on an opponent's space, stuff like that. Rather than preventing you from creating an illegal position, the app instead just shakes all of the pawns that you like seen from scanners until you hit the reset your moves button and redo everything. It should also be noted that the app is advertised as being playable with either the classic or revised rules. The revised rules come from the 2013 Ares Games edition, which allows for a fifth player to play the role of the ambassador and win the game by learning everyone's identity and disguise. The app does not allow you to play as the ambassador, so I'll just have to assume that the computer was playing that role actively, though I never saw it win or do anything different than in the classic rules.
And now, Captain's judgment, ya scurvy dogs.
Thanks, Dimmy. I stink at deduction games. Regardless of how many times I play Clue, I am always convinced it was Colonel Mustard in the airlock with the Holy Grail. Inkognito's ally mechanic provides an opportunity for Inspector Clouseaus like myself to still win the game provided they are randomly paired up with the Sherlock Holmes. Yet even though I'm terrible at them, I usually still enjoy playing deduction games because of the inherent poker-like player interaction of trying to discover each other's secrets without revealing any of my own. Unfortunately for the one-player-only Inkognito app, player interaction is impossible. This leaves me playing a game with needlessly difficult controls in a genre I'm inherently lousy at, thinking about starting that boy band. Overboard she goes.